Which profession hires the dumbest people? Cooks in the Navy. When you enlist in the Navy, they test your aptitude and give you a list of jobs available to you based on your results. If you score in the bottom 5th percentile, you have one job available to you: cook. There was a group I was in, years ago, with this guy named Mike in it. Mike was a very nice guy, not a mean bone in his body. Married with 3 kids, but unemployed, so his wife worked. He could never get a job anywhere because he had no qualifications, and he just couldn't see patterns and stuff. Even in our group, he'd just sit there happily without saying anything for hours. We tried to ask him a few times if he'd like to chime in, or what he was thinking, and he genuinely had nothing going on upstairs. Suddenly, he applied to the sheriff's department and got hired, and they loved him. He's been there for years. That changed my view of the sheriff's department. There are positions for people like Mike. The sheriff's department needs people who can handle. Just take this person's hand, take their fingerprints, and pass the paperwork along, for 8 hours a day every day without going crazy. FedEx, UPS, some factory worker positions, etc., are all pivotal to society. But if you're a type to think too much, you won't want to do them for very long. TSA employees. I don't think half of them even have their GED's high school diplomas. Every time I go, I have to explain the concept of dual citizenship, at least 4 times. One time my brother was traveling with his cat, and airport security tried to x-ray his cat. My brother went, "What a fact? I'm not letting you do that." From my experience, real estate. They can be great at their job, but I've met agents that make me wonder how they can function in the rest of their life. I moved out of state and had a real estate agent show me around some apartments. At the first property, she asked me where I was from, so I told her, outside Detroit. She asked where that was, and I told her, Michigan. She was still confused, and asked if Michigan was in Arizona. The tour pretty much ended there. Note, I moved to the East Coast, not Arizona. Arizona was a seemingly random guess. I don't want to attack the profession of driving trucks, but the company Swift hires whatever dumb can hold a steering wheel, and even sometimes dumb that can't. Shrimp boat captain. Warehousing. We have no educational requirements at all. We have people who are functionally illiterate, and health and safety briefs have to be read out to them. In addition, we do not vet new staff members at all, really. Our training procedures are laid out to, in theory, make them 100% idiot-proof, 200% checks, remote and physical supervision, etc. Yet we still get people who have been employed for 3+ years making week 1 mistakes as they forgot how to do a task they had completed a few hundred times before. One guy's ability to follow tasks was so bad, we physically had to print out his worksheets, with multiple copies for when he lost the first 2 or 3, and make him read the instructions back to us to make sure he got it. Honestly, I reckon if I was allowed, I'd sack around 10 to 15% of the workforce, and we'd either have no loss in production, or even a marginal gain in stock accuracy. I worked with a guy named Dave at a moving company. In our lunchroom we had a microwave, and on top of that was a phone. One day Dave comes in, puts a burrito in the microwave on high for a minute, goes back into the warehouse. He comes back 58 seconds later, the microwave beeps, he walks over and picks up the phone. "Hello, hello?" Hangs up. "Enough silence!" And left again. And never came back for the burrito. Guitar Center salesman. You need 5 of them and 2 managers to buy one of any musical instrument. My business partner went to a Guitar Center, was looking around, and they had a Marshall amp, without a price tag. He asks, "How much?" They go, "Well, it's busted, mister. We were going to send it back." He's like, "Seriously, I'm an engineer. I might be able to fix it." "How much?" They are like, $99. That's what it would cost us to freight it back. He's like, "Okay." So, 3 days later, he's trying to find every set of schematics, and I'm like, "You bought this at Guitar Center because they couldn't get it to work. Let's just plug it in and see what happens." It powered up just fine. Dumb SOBs sold him a $2,000 amp for $99. Best we can tell, they never plugged it in, or the outlet was dead. The food service industry hires some of the most incompetent people out there. It's a constant battle between lack of common sense and inability to perform the easiest tasks. Source: Worked there for a while and saw it firsthand. Apparently construction. Apparently my dad's boss is getting frustrated because almost every job applicant has a drug problem, it seems. My dad is pretty lenient on pot. Everyone in the industry knows drug testing is common, so if you're in the market to hop or looking for work, you should know not to get high. That being said, oftentimes he'll ask young kids if they would pass, and if they just stare blankly, he tells them to come back in a month. Insurance requires a clean drug test, so even if he doesn't personally have a problem with it, he still needs a clean drug test to hire someone. Those who work as a sales rep for every industry I've been a part of were terrible with computers. AM sales rep for a pretty complex industry. We just hired a lady with 20 years of sales experience who literally doesn't know how to use her laptop. It's a fucking nightmare. My first desktop support role, a lady called me because all her desktop icons were gone when the reality was her battery was dead and the laptop wouldn't even turn on it. That was when I learned you can't trust people to explain a problem to you. Dude, it's not that bad with her, but I was walking her through one of our programs the other day and I opened up a new tab to look at something, and she goes, Whoa, what did you just do? How'd you do that? In my brain I was like, what a fact, this dumbass actually makes more money than I do and she can't even open a fucking tab on a browser. Oil sands. Outside of trade or professional jobs, some of the absolutely biggest morons in the world, who get paid astronomical amounts of money to basically lift heavy things and drive vehicles. And then when the economy crashes, they blame the evil government because nobody wants to hire somebody with a drug habit and a 70 IQ. Anything that requires actors. I run a small production company, so I need actors frequently. Let me tell you, these are the single dumbest people in the entire world. But the golden ticket is that they're not just dumb, they're pretentious dumb but trying really hard to make their brand of dumb seem deep and insightful. I had one actor, while filming a commercial for a goddamn yogurt, asked me, but would my character really look at the yogurt right now? I feel like they'd wait another couple of seconds before looking down. This character had no name. Literally the only thing they did was to look at the yogurt. Actor was trying to impress me with her try-hard approach. Spoiler, doesn't work. One time I was filming a PDF software commercial and I told the actor that I'd be filming in a high frame rate so that I could slow it down. He didn't really get it, so I just said, it's a slow motion shot, you don't need to worry about it, so just go at regular speed. I had to explain this repeatedly over 5 takes, that the camera was making it slow motion and that he didn't have to. I had to explicitly tell him twice to not do it in slow motion. At one point when I told him to do it in regular speed, he responded, "Okay," paused, and then said, Oh, okay, before promptly going back to slow motion. If I hadn't been with him for like 4 hours, I'd have sworn he was high. Almost all of them do this thing where you're giving them direction and they'll nod and say yes at the exact moments that they need to be taking in information. Okay, so when you pick up the cup, I need you to dash. Yeah, okay. Make sure that you're not looking into the dash. Gotcha. Most frustrating thing in the world. God, I hate actors. Food service. I'm a waitress bartender, and it's amazing the amount of stupid people they hire, and then they leave a few weeks later because they can't hack being busy. Or they call in a lot and still have their jobs, while the good employees get fed up at being understaffed and leave because the standards are so low, and they go unrecognized for actually being good at their jobs. The government. Source: 31 years working with them. Yep. I'm a skilled and motivated government worker, and I often feel like I'm replaying my last job on easy mode with all the weapons and upgrades. You should see my superiors' eyes light up when I complete a task on the same day they asked me to do it. Coal mines, around here at least, they are the repository of people too dumb for oil and gas and too unreliable for the forest industry. Uber. Some kind of vetting would be nice. Me have cargo vroom, so me Uber now. Middle management at nearly every major company. These are people that typically have failed upwards. They are not decision makers and they weren't irreplaceable enough in their previous role. They have enough power to interfere with daily operations without the foresight to understand the impact of their power trip. Telemarketers. If you ask them specific questions about the product they're trying to sell and specifics of the warranty, they often have no idea how to respond accurately, and professionally. That's because they have a single sell sheet usually. New day, new pitch. Worked as a telemarketer, don't hurt me, the alternative was homelessness, and this is true. Typically we were given about 1 hour's training, had a DOS system to enter customer answers, and 1 sheet of paper outlining info they think we need. It's unbelievably difficult to have an actual conversation about a product when you're not allowed to know much about it. Scholarship and financial aid offices. LOL. My college, the financial aid hours were always inconvenient 10 to 4, off for lunch 12 to 1. I'd always skip class to accommodate their hours. On top of that, their solution to every problem was take out a loan. I don't need any more debt. Porn industry. I starred in a dozen over 10 years ago, and doesn't matter if you were male, or female, or smart, or stupid, they only hired you for your beautiful body. Ever wonder why some plots and norps sounded so obviously scripted? Most hardly knew how to even read. Which profession hires the dumbest people? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.